Well, yeah, I think number one, recruiting is always it's not a exact science, and so and probably maybe there's a little more clarity to it because you're recruiting guys and you have statistical analysis on them in college when through the portal. But it's also you don't really know because it's such a quick process, and it's a little bit cutthroat, and you have to make your commitment pretty quickly, so your evaluation has to be as good as possible. So I don't know. Wouldn't want to say that we didn't have a good year last year because we had a bad transfer class. I think those guys, everybody, worked hard and tried and all those kinds of things. I think maybe the biggest key is probably the returning guys. The more returning guys we have that have an understanding of how we're trying to go about everything, that really, really helps kind of speed up the process. If it used to be so difficult in the first year for a coach because he might be giving a totally different message to his team than the previous coach. Now, if everybody's new, that's a little bit not quite as critical, and you can get your own guys right away. But it's still very helpful to have returning guys up and down the roster who have an understanding of what the program's trying to do, how you're trying to defend, how you talk, how you practice, what you emphasize, and I think that's probably an even bigger key than the guys that we bring in out of the pool. Yeah, I think so. I think right from the beginning. So, we were probably here at the end of May, just in terms of how the ball was moving and the competitiveness. I'd say those two things really stood out. The group has a very good personality and, seem to blend really well together and all, but when it's time to compete and play, they were always up for another game or another drill or something like that when there was competition. So I think that has really stood out to me the most. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's going to be a special player, and I would say that his competitiveness is very high. He has great sense for basketball to match, really elite quickness, and so he's very confident as well. And so I think that his determination in terms of playmaking, scoring, going for steals, those kinds of things are really, really high for such a young player. And I think just the more and more comfortable he gets, he'll have a chance to have a very special career. Yeah, that's a great question. So, we've always really tried to emphasize in the early games that it has to be our advantage. I think we played at 11 o'clock last week, and then I think again at maybe 1:30 was the Charlotte game. So we just always talked about how important it is that shoot around, that breakfast, that guys are ready and locked in and try to make it our advantage. Now, the guys are up early most days with a lifting or a class or something to do. So, hopefully it's doesn't feel quite as early for the players. But yes, I think that's very important that we're alert and ready because the beginning of the game is always very important. Old Dominion's always a talented physical team. And we have to play well. Everybody has to play well all the time. But we have to play well, and getting off to a good start is one of the better ways to do that. Yeah, I do. Definitely. Marcus Jenkins is with Zach Chu also, so obviously talk to Marcus a lot. Yeah, I would say it's a combination of both. It's hard to not talk about basketball when you're in the season. That's what the only thing on everybody's mind is. But yeah, everybody, those guys, I think Columbia has a great record. Iona has a very good record, and Radford has had a tougher schedule and not quite as good, but I think they're going to do well. So I think we're all extremely proud of those guys and try to keep tabs on them as best we can.
Hey, is there connective tissue among those
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the basketball IQ and basketball curiosity would be the most telling thing. I think probably I would have predicted that all of them would have gone into coaching, as much as I tried to talk them out of it. But I think all of them really had their eyes set on coaching, and the basketball part really appealed to them, for doing it for a living. And I think just their sense overall, Dan got to demonstrate it the most on the court, but I think their sense overall would be the one common thread. Yeah.
What are some of
Yeah, I think, if you could, you really, we always try to emphasize it. I think one year we had a season where we had 8 games that started at noon or so. And we just always really try to emphasize it and make sure the guys are just ready when they get here. And then not try to make any excuses about it. These guys, having 2 sons, I know they've grown up playing games at 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. And so just being ready for it, I think it's a little bit different. But once you're in the arena and we've warmed up and we've gone over everything, we should be ready to play.
hey, exams are coming up, and I wonder if you could tell people in this new era of college hoops, is academics still a significant part of what's going on in Richmond and/or other?
Yeah, I can only speak to Richmond, but academics are very important, and we'll talk to the guys, either Saturday after the game or Sunday morning about the importance of their finals. We just always try to remind them how important it is to do your own work, to prepare. Hopefully, during the course of the year, they've done a lot of good things to put themselves in good position. But yes, academics are very important. I think that, again, only to speak to Richmond, I do have concerns when I see some of the transferring and guys coming in who have played professionally overseas, and they come in and they say that they're a junior, even though they're first time they've been in college. I guess they're talking about eligibility-wise. But at Richmond, it's very important, and I think that, on behalf of, Dr. Halleck and everybody involved at the university, that this is something that makes us unique and special. And I think a credit to Courtney Hughes, Dr. Courtney Hughes, our academic support person. I think we've had over 3.0 for 9 of the last 10 semesters, and it's really a credit to our players and her, and that's something that we strive for and emphasize, and we want our guys to know how important it is, and the Richmond alumni base to know how important it is to us.
These in-state non-conference games feel so rare. Is it important to you and your team to schedule these types of games?
For sure. I think that we've always tried. Our first thought has always been trying to get the power teams or the best teams on our schedule, and then second was the state games. So this year, to have William and Mary and Old Dominion on the schedule is really good. We had an exhibition with James Madison. I think those games are really important. I hope that there is more of a push to have those kind of games, whether it's a classic format or tournament format or home and homes, because I think they're very appealing, especially being in the state capital. We have alums from everywhere. We also played VMI. So I feel like those games are really important to us, and the harder it is for us to get the other games, the in-state games are that much more critical.
With hitting a 75-foot shot, in terms of reaction you get online, in person, friends, family?
You'd be surprised. That's a shot I actually practice quite a bit, usually just for jokes, but you never know when it'll come up useful, and happy to contribute a big-time goal at a big time. So.
What have you heard from folks since? ESPN, et cetera,
I'm still a little bit in the daze. It's starstruck. I've been getting so many different text messages from people saying congratulations on SportsCenter Top 10. Family from across the country, so it's fun. Still hasn't settled in yet, but.
You have been on teams where transfers did a lot of heavy lifting, they did great, and teams transfers did a lot of heavy lifting and it wasn't so great. What's the difference and what vibe do you get from this group?
That's a good question. I just think there was a better buy-in earlier in the summer. We were especially deliberate about making sure everyone was acclimated to the system, understanding where your looks and touches are going to come. We have guys on this team that specialize at all 3 levels. Jaden's great in the post, so we try and get him post touches late in games. That was a big bucket late in the game against Beaumont. He got AJ's great in the ball screen, kind of weaving through. So I think they've been great about buying in to understanding where their shots are going to come from. But also, I just think there's just a great kind of character about this team. We all want to win. I think people are willing to give up their own personal statistics if it means that we're winning games as a team. So I think just a collective buy-in thing.
What does a game like that do for you guys in terms of who you beat, where you beat them, and what it'll mean moving forward?
Yeah, it's huge. Not only for me personally, one of my best friends, Aiden, is on that team, so it was great to have that bragging rights on him. But a top 35 net ranking, that's huge for us, especially knowing our schedule. There's not going to be many looks to get those quad one profile wins, but it's big. I saw a stat that said that was their first road non-con win since 2021. I think that just tells a great story about the team that we have, the special talent we have, the ability that we will have going down into conference season.
So why did it happen in addition to your 75-foot shot? Why did you get the result Wednesday night?
We have a gritty team. There were plenty of times where we got punched in the mouth and we could have folded over. Certainly that happened early in the game at Furman. We learned a lot. I think that's what those non-con MTEs are for. You learn a lot about yourself when you're away from home, away from your home fans. And I think we responded exactly the way we wanted to.
Take us through that whole sequence. From the time you got off the bench with 1.8 seconds to go, thinking you were probably going to the game to throw a baseball pass. Take us through the whole sequence.
Yeah, we called a play, and I was going to throw the full court pass, and just hopefully someone else gets it on the rim. You never know what can happen. Did not expect the ball to come off, and I was just there at the right time. Happy to make a play, take us down 2 into the half. So. More times than I wanted. Probably double digits, yeah. It's just so fun being on Sports Center. That's a thing every kid dreams of. Just a special opportunity. We were actually watching it live. We were waiting on our airplane, and they were airing it live on Sports Center at like midnight, I think it was. Everyone was cheering. I wasn't paying attention. They're like, "Yo, come see this." I was like, wow.
Like you said before the season, the goal was to hit 53 pointers. I wonder if you could set credit for maybe 2.
That's the 4-point line. That's what we've all been talking about. Yeah.
Hey, there seems to be a feeling among you guys that there wasn't a great deal of spectators playing in preseason and that's part of it. Where's that rooted? Simply in the A-10 poll or something?
I think there's just a lot of noise on social media. I think people can fall into the trap of believing too much about what people on the outside say about teams. We saw it happen in 2024. And they said that we were, 13 or 14 in the conference. We go on to win a record number in the A-10, come away first. So we don't really buy too much into that. We know what the kind of guys we have in this locker room are. We know the talent and the product we put on the court. We all believe in ourselves. So it doesn't matter what other people say about it. We take it as motivation, if anything. Yeah.